across the heather-draped slopes of the Scottish Lowlands on a cold, foggy morning in 1350. The damp air of the North Sea rolls inward. Gray fog wraps tightly around the stone towers of a large falconry estate. The air smells of wet ground, old leaves, and wood smoke from burning pine fires. Day has not yet broken over the valley. However, you can hear the soft, clear ringing of small brass bells from the wooden bird houses. This gentle sound breaks the heavy silence of the Scottish countryside. Under the shadow of strong stone walls, daily life follows an ancient pattern of hunters and prey, rich lords and hardworking servants. Yet outside these thick stone walls, the medieval world is falling apart. The Black Death, a terrible plague that killed millions across Europe, has crossed the border into Scotland. It is destroying small farming villages and noble castles alike. At the same time, long years of painful war with the English king have spent the country's money and left border towns burned to the ground. Inside this quiet estate, the mourning begins just as it has for hundreds of years. The people here do not yet know about the coming ruin. Instead, they focus on their careful daily work, training royal hunting birds for the rich nobles of medieval times. Music. This historical reconstruction of a Scottish falconry estate in the year 1350 was built using artificial intelligence, drawing from real historical records of the period. Before we begin our journey, please subscribe to the History Forge channel and leave a like so more forgotten history can come back to light through our work. Stay with us as we step deep into the quiet shadows of the birdhouses. We will discover the secret, blood-stained art of training wild hunting hawks, and we will watch an incredible high-altitude hunt across the windy moorlands that showed the true power of Scotland's medieval rulers. Moving inward from the loud waves of the Firth of Forth, the land changes from salty coastal mudflats to wide, grassy moorlands surrounded by steep, rocky hills. Sitting on a high cliff of dark basalt stone is the Falconry estate, built as a special hunting fort designed to shelter feudal servants and dozens of dangerous hunting birds. A thick outer stone wall protects the entire area. Local builders made this wall using smooth river stones and field stones, held together by strong lime mortar mixed with horsehair and crushed seashells. High above the outer wall stands a 3-story main stone tower built from heavy gray granite. Its roof is covered with dark slate tiles held down by strong wooden pegs, so that cold winter storms coming from the Grampian Mountains cannot blow them away. Narrow windows cut into the 2-foot-thick stone walls let in just a little light while keeping inside the heat from burning peat fires, preventing chilly Scottish dampness from soaking into stone rooms. Inside the main living area sits the great wooden hall. This is a very large room with a wide open fireplace made from flat floor stones. Here, dried peat turf and birch logs burn from morning until night. Thick smoke rises toward a wooden vent in the high oak roof. It fills upper beams with a light cloud of sweet wood ash that helps dry hanging hams and wet wool cloaks. Right next to the main hall, positioned to catch gentle morning light while blocking cold north winds, stands the bird house block, known as the mews. Built from square pine logs with thick dirt and grass walls for insulation, the mews has low perches covered with straw mats and soft cloth to protect sensitive hawk feet. Nearby, in a quiet corner of the inner yard, sits the small private chapel of the estate. It features a carved stone altar covered with fine imported linen. A small bronze holy box and beeswax candles burn beside a stone bowl of holy water, giving a quiet place of prayer for lords and hunters. Smells of burning peat smoke, animal fat, leather oil, and fresh bird droppings drying on sawdust fill the courtyard. The compound is almost never quiet. Small brass and silver bells attached to hawk legs ring with every movement the birds make on their perches. This soft ringing mixes with the heavy thud of wooden cartwheels bringing oak barrels into the yard, the distant bark of large hunting dogs echoing off stone walls, and cold wind blowing through the top of the main tower. Every piece of stone, wood, and iron tells a story of human survival and control over nature. Hours before the sun rises over the eastern hills, while dark stone halls are still pitch black, the lowest workers of the estate begin their hard daily jobs. Young helper falconers, called mews lads or hawking boys, wake up from their rough straw beds on the floor. Shivering in the freezing morning cold, with stiff and sore fingers, they start fireplace fires using dry pine needles and sparks from flint stones. They carry buckets of clean water from the yard, stone well to scrub bird droppings off wooden perches. Under the sharp eye of the master falconer, social rank is strictly followed. The master falconer holds a position of high trust in the Lord's household, commanding much more respect than common farm workers or kitchen helpers. Below him, young helpers do the messy work of cutting fresh meat, while outside the walls, poor farmers work in cold barley fields, forced by feudal law to give grain, straw, and hard labor without pay. Servants and nobles live together under the Lord's roof, forming a large household that includes people from different cultures and social groups common in 14th century Scotland. Gaelic-speaking hunters from the Western Mountains work right alongside Anglo-Norman nobles who speak Norman French and Lowland Scots. While the Lord and his family sleep in warm upper rooms of the granite tower under thick duck-down blankets and warm wolf furs, servants and bird helpers live in cold outer buildings. Their daily lives are completely ruled by the ringing of the chapel bell and the constant needs of the hunting birds. Social rank decides every comfort they receive, from the warmth of their bed to the quality of daily bread and winter clothes. Daylight filtering through shuttered wooden windows signals the start of morning rituals across the estate. Inside the great hall, the Lord and the master falconer gather for short Latin prayers led by the priest. They pray to Saint Hubert, the protector of hunters, asking him to keep them safe from broken bones and lost hawks on the rough moorlands. Getting dressed for the day is a simple process based on cold weather, social class, and daily job. Servants put on coarse woolen tunics dyed in plain brown or gray colors, worn over plain linen shirts, and loose underwear tied with rope. Their legs are wrapped in thick wool stockings tied with leather straps, and their feet wear simple leather shoes with wooden soles to protect against courtyard mud. Master falconer clothing shows both high status and practical need. Over a warm linen shirt, he fastens a strong wool jacket reinforced at the shoulders to hold heavy leather gear. Around his neck hangs a warm wool hood with a long tail wrapped to block cold wind. The most important piece of his gear is his falconer's glove. This is a thick, custom glove made of double-layered deer skin, sewn with tough thread, stretching far up his arm to protect his skin from sharp hawk talons. Around his waist, he wears a wide leather belt. It holds a small brass scale for weighing hawks, a horn whistle, a pouch of leather hoods, and a sharp knife for cutting up game in the field. The Lord appears in a fine woolen robe lined with soft squirrel fur. He carries a carved hunting horn, with his high rank shown by bright yellow and red colors on his long cloak. Breakfast on the estate, known as disjune, is eaten shortly after sunrise in the lower hall. This heavy meal keeps workers warm during long hours outside on cold hills. Servants and bird helpers eat from wooden plates filled with dense oatcakes baked on iron pans, thick slices of salty pork fat, dried fish brought from coastal fishing ports, and bowls of hot pea soup seasoned with wild onions and garlic. They wash their food down with cupfuls of weak beer brewed right on the estate, because raw river water is not safe to drink and causes stomach sickness. Every small scrap of leftover food is saved to feed hunting dogs or mixed into feed for farm animals. For the Lord, his guests, and the master falconer, the morning meal shows the rich trade lines that feed Scotland's high nobility. Along with fresh loaves of soft white wheat bread, they eat cold roast chicken, slices of dried red deer meat from royal forests, and soft cheese wrapped in plant leaves. Their tables feature metal cups filled with rich red wine imported from France through the seaport of Leith. These trade routes stay active despite naval battles across the North Sea. Trade supplies to the estate are constant and vital. Wood from the Baltic Sea for making bows, iron ore from Scandinavian traders for horseshoeing, and fine leather tanned with oak tree bark from local monasteries. Salt, necessary for keeping meat fresh through the cold winter, arrives in heavy basket bags carried by pack horses from coastal salt pans. By mid-morning, main work of the falconry estate reaches its busiest point. Inside the quiet darkness of the mews, the master falconer and trained helpers perform delicate care for each bird. Every hawk, from giant white Arctic falcons gifted by northern kings to local peregrine falcons, small merlins and wild goshawks, is weighed carefully on brass scales. Losing just half an ounce of body weight can change a bird from a strong hunter into a weak, tired bird, while gaining too much weight makes the hawk ignore commands and fly away into the mountains. A daily record of every bird's weight is carefully written down, tracking small changes caused by weather, food, or feather loss. Feather damage on a hunting hawk requires an intricate repair called imping, which young mews lads carefully watch. If a main flight feather gets bent or broken during a hunt against a heron or grouse, the falconer performs this clever operation. Using a small curved iron needle dipped in salt water to rust and lock the joint in place, he carefully attaches a matching feather taken from an old wing onto the broken feather stem, restoring the bird's perfect flying shape. Meanwhile, the estate's leather worker sits on a wooden stool in the yard, using sharp tools and strong thread to sew small leather hoods. These hoods, lined with soft cloth and decorated with colorful silk feathers, keep high-strung falcons in total darkness to prevent them from getting scared until released to hunt. High out on heather-covered moorlands surrounding the estate, daily training and hunting trials take place with amazing skill. The master falconer rides out on a short, strong Scottish pony, carrying a noble peregrine falcon wearing its leather hood on his gloved left hand. He is joined by helpers leading long-haired hunting dogs on strong ropes. When they reach an open grassy ridge above wet peat bogs, dogs are let loose to run through bushes and scare wild ducks and grouse into the air. As game birds burst into the sky with fast flapping wings, the falconer removes the leather knot of the hawk's hood with his teeth and throws the bird into the air with a smooth, upward push of his arm. Climbing steeply into the cold blue sky, the peregrine falcon flies up in wide circles until it reaches a high position hundreds of feet above the moor. Watching the fleeing bird from high above, the falcon folds its wings tight against its body and dives straight down like a falling rock. It reaches speeds over 100 miles per hour. The sound of wind rushing through stiff wing feathers creates a loud whistling noise that terrifies birds below. With a sudden heavy strike from its back claws, the falcon hits the target in midair, sending a cloud of loose feathers floating down over grass before landing on the ground to claim its catch. Blowing his silver whistle, the falconer quickly runs over and swings a leather training lure made with chicken wings and raw meat around his head. He calls the killer hawk off its prey before the bird can eat too much, rewarding the hawk with a small piece of fresh meat held in his gloved fingers. Then he gently slips the leather hood back over the bird's head and fastens its leg straps back to his heavy glove ring. This pattern of flying, luring, and rewarding is repeated all afternoon. It keeps estate hunting birds well trained, ensuring they stay hungry enough to obey their master but strong enough to hunt again and again. While hunters ride across hills, skilled estate craftsmen keep the compound running smoothly on its own. In the metal shop, the blacksmith hammers out iron rings, leash hooks, and small brass hawk bells brought in as flat metal sheets. He tunes each pair of bells slightly apart in sound, so the falconer can tell which bird is moving in thick bushes just by listening. In the bakery, the baker seals round loaves of mixed grain bread into stone ovens using wet clay, while in the dog yard, animal handlers wash hunting dogs in soapy wood ash water to remove ticks and sticky mud. As the sun begins to drop behind western hills, painting the valley in deep purple colors, the hunting party returns to the yard with heavy bags full of wild game. Dusk bringing an end to daily labor, the estate moves into evening leisure and dinner. Inside the great wooden hall, long dining tables are set up over fresh green rushes mixed with sweet-smelling dried mint and lavender plants. The evening meal is served as yellow light from iron wall torches flickers against raw stone walls. Lords, guests, and senior estate officers sit at the raised main table, eating roasted deer meat in rich gravy, baked chicken, fried river fish caught in stone river traps, and warm meat pies filled with pigeon meat and sweet dried fruit. Lower estate workers sit on simple wooden benches, sharing big bowls of boiled mutton and heavy rye bread. Following supper, as the central hearth glows red with dying coals, the feeling inside the hall becomes warm and friendly. A traveling Scottish singer sits near the fire, playing a brass string harp and singing grand songs about famous Scottish kings and brave border battles. The sweet music echoes up into high wooden roof beams. Nobles play quiet games of chess on carved ivory boards or wooden marker games, while master falconers sit together drinking warm, spiced wine, talking about the health, wing size, and hunting skills of their newest birds. In quiet corners of the hall, tired hunting dogs stretch out near warm ash, while servants clean metal plates with sand and straw before night. Watchmen take up stations on outer stone walls. Near midnight, the entire compound sinks into total darkness and deep silence. Night watchmen push heavy oak gates of the compound closed, locking them with massive wooden bars slid deep into stone gatehouse walls. Outside, cold autumn wind howls across empty moorlands, driving hard rain against dark slate roofs. Inside the stone tower, candles are put out one by one, leaving only dull red coals of the central hearth to cast long shadows across the empty room. Deep inside the quiet silence of the wooden mews, dozens of hunting birds sleep peacefully on straw-covered perches, with heads tucked safely under wings and leather hoods, shining softly in dim light of a horn lantern. Yet the peaceful safety of this medieval world is fragile, a short moment frozen in time. Within just a few months of this autumn night in 1350, the Black Death would spread completely through Scottish river valleys, taking lives of master falconers, rich lords, and young bird helpers alike. It left high stone towers abandoned to cold winds and forced hunting hawks to break their ropes and fly away free into the wild. Many years later, new ways of fighting wars, the invention of guns, and the